was it time to end Prometheus and bring in the Odyssey? What were the thoughts there?
Well, I mean, we've talked about killing characters,
Yeah.
and I mean, this was just. I mean, that's a very sort of emotional event, and
Hmm.
I think that um, this is like killing a character, but
Hmm.
it's blowing up a ship. It's a little more of a intellectual exercise of, and I mean, it's emotional too, and I don't mean to diminish the you know killing of a lot of people on that ship.
Right.
It's a different idea when you're talking about a character you've gotten to know and love, and you see them potentially dying versus the idea of
Mm.
mass conflict and the result of large amounts of people dying as a result. So I feel like in a way, trying to up the ante of the villain, of trying to sort of introduce the consequences. We talked, we wrote forever about all of the evils of the Gould.
Mm.
We needed to come up with a way of personalizing the threat of the aura and the scale in which their uh, evil was going to kind of wreak havoc on the galaxy. So it didn't. It just felt like you know, we needed to show how bad it was, but also make it about us,
Hmm.
not just another planet. I mean, I love the fact that we were also dealing with the consequences of prior actions, right?
Yeah.
So it was how we had, and that was, we talked about that sort of thing all the time, where um, in a safe sci-fi world, trying to sort of reflect some of the politics on Earth and the way things happen. And, there's all kinds of cases in which the U.S. would go into a situation for whatever various reasons to try and maybe make things better, or make them democratic, replace a regime with another regime, only to have that blow up in their faces and go wrong. I mean,
Low resolution thinking.
and so we just thought, hey, we were always jumping around the galaxy, meddling in other worlds. What if there were consequences to one of those events?
It made sense that eventually we would come across the planets where revealing the Stargate, and we saw a little of this with Kelowna Langara, but in this case, revealing the Stargate leads to nuclear war. And I think it's a valid point. I mean, there were rumors for years in fandom that the invasion of Iraq was over a Stargate, and it's in one hand, it's an interesting intellectual exercise and a little bit of fun to think of it that way. But you guys can actually, tell a story where one continent has this artifact. This artifact suddenly becomes a huge, tactical advantage. Not just being able to escape to other worlds, but armies coming in. What would another continent do about that? They wouldn't have a very good time. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Crusade, you and I have talked about directing that episode. Um, I have two things that I want to talk about for this one. One was the crazy 2-second shot of the whole wedding scene. When you're writing this episode, oh yeah, we were married, and then we see this huge shot, huge setup, huge costumes, set pieces, everything else. It's on screen for 2 seconds, and we move on. Um, what is it like, clearing that in terms of like, do you think about that going in? It's like, yes, we do want to show this. It's basically going to be a gag. We're seeing this,
Yeah.
from Vala's whimsical perspective, and then that's it. Um, Budgetarily, is it worth doing a shot like that? Do you really have to factor it in? You know, because it's on screen for two seconds.
I don't honestly don't remember the
Okay.
specific arguments about that shot or that scene. That's funny. I
Okay.
haven't thought about that in a while, but I do think that, well, first of all, um, it was basically a clip show, right?
Yeah, from Vala's point of view.
You know,
That's right.
and what we were, I mean, it was an episode that was built to be uh, a budget saver. Like it was end of season way of making up some money. There was a shorter schedule. It was a lot of talking in a room that we could shoot in a very short schedule. So I suspect there was probably some crossover in terms of set and how we were able to, whatever location we shot that in, um, we were probably already utilizing paid extras for that day.
Mm.
Uh, and I mean, I'm sure I argued, hey, look, I'm saving all this money by doing this inexpensive episode.
I'm directing it myself.
We're gonna have some. Well, I still got paid for it,
I know you did, but yes.
but yeah, there were unions involved. I think I was just like, I gotta have something.
For sure.
You
For
know,
sure.
it was a wedding and some toilet seats.
Very, very large toilet
Yeah, that's
seats.
all I had.
Oh gosh. I love the ship's design. I would imagine, there was the original art of James Robbins had two main firing.
Yeah, it looked like eyes.
Yeah, I think that was the mandate somewhere in there. Do not do a Death Star. Do not make that look like a Death Star firing or
I mean, I guess I would say ship design.
Mm.
It was one of the most painful, unfun
Really?
processes. Yeah, just because there's so many that had come before, and you can always be like, oh, it looks too much like this one, or it looks too much
That's
like
true.
that one, or that doesn't look. I mean, I think probably the most difficult design thing that we did in the entire 17 seasons was the Destiny. Like we just could not figure out what the Destiny was going to look like.
And it came down to Brad and a cocktail napkin.
Well, it was that he wanted it. He finally decided he wanted it to look like a shovel.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I mean, I just I found it was like trying to come up with something that was different than anything you had seen before. But at the same time, look cool was it was very, very difficult.
Thanks for watching this clip from Dial the Gate. If you enjoyed the video, give us a thumbs up. It's our goal to share a new Stargate story every day while we're on break. Please feel free to subscribe to future episodes here on YouTube. And if you have Stargate friends who might like this clip, let them know about us. Be sure to visit dialthegate.com to view the complete archive, as well as transcripts from past interviews. I'll see you on the other side.